Hey, welcome to Fitzdog Radio. Nice to see you. I don't see you. I see a park across the street with people walking their dogs, enjoying July. Oh, in the throes of summer. Just had a very nice week. I got my summer's just kicking in now. I'm heading off. I'm going to Austin. When you hear this, I will be in Austin, as a matter of fact. I'm going to do Rogan's podcast and Hinchcliffe's podcast. And I think I'm doing a stand-up show, meeting Adam Egget and some people for dinner. It's going to be good. Brian Redband. See the whole Austin crew. Who else is there? I talked to Segura. He's out of town. Or that's what he told me. I got to check his calendar. Got my tattoo, people. I talked about it last week. I'm a 55-year-old man who got an Irish tattoo on his shoulder. Here it is if you're watching on YouTube. Look at that baby. Oh, yeah. Did not hold back on the brightness of the green. Fucking Kelly, baby. In your face. Got the harp. Whole family got it. We're branded. The Fitzsimmons family is all branded with harp tattoos on different parts of our bodies. And we are now distinguishable in public, like cattle. So it was fun. We went to this place on Lincoln Boulevard in Venice. What is it called? I should say the name of it, since they did a really good job. Diamondback Tattoos. Asked for a guy named Ken. He's the resident guy, Japanese guy. He's renowned in the Venice area. He's the best. And it was I didn't realize that, I literally didn't think about pain going in. It was not painful. It was somewhere between uncomfortable and painful, but it was fine. And I'm glad I got it. It's been a pain in the ass because we got them done, and then me and the wife left on a camping trip the next morning. We went up to Morro Bay, which is on just the sweet spot of the California coast. It's gorgeous, just cliffs going down to ocean and sandbars and woods, hiking paths, just gorgeous. And we camped out, rugged, 3 nights, 4 days. It looks like Ireland, to be honest. It reminded me of being in Ireland, that lush green right on the ocean like that. There were a lot of deer. Apparently there's deer ticks. There's rattlesnakes. You got to watch. The whole time you're hiking, and we hiked a lot. We got our 20,000 steps every day, and we kayaked across this bay, and then hiked across these sand dunes to the ocean. It was amazing. It was so great. And we're hiking at one point, and there's these dunes up ahead. And I go to my wife. I go, this would be a great place to propose. And within 15 minutes, there's this couple, and they're walking along, and they're with some friends, maybe some family. And I see a guy drop to his knee in the distance. He drops to his knee, and then you hear them all like yelling, and he proposed, and it was so fucking weird. But it was weird. Taking a knee is a little weird. I'm sure this has been explored in the comedy world for years, but the whole taking a knee is kind of a mystery to me. It's a little bit of a misdirect for a marriage. Like, is this the paradigm that we're going to go for? I'm kneeling before you. I'm subservient to you. Is that what she's getting out of the deal? Really? Or is this a trick? This seems a little bit like a trick. She's not knighting you. She's not raising you up. You know? It's like, you shouldn't be tricking somebody. If you're going to ask somebody to marry you, do it in the spirit that the marriage should be, which is parity, equality. You should be looking each other in the eye. There's no like, you guys get nervous. Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm going to ask my girl. You shouldn't be nervous. There should be no doubt in your mind that she's going to say yes. Are you worried that she's not going to say yes? Then guess what? You shouldn't be asking her to marry you. There should be no trickery. Flattery should not be involved in whether or not she says yes. The size of the ring shouldn't matter. This should be foregone. Otherwise, you need some more time. You took it out of the oven too soon if you're nervous. Be fucking nervous. You should have exhausted all possibilities except for marriage by the time you asked somebody to marry you. You should have explored breaking up to see if you could stand being away from each other. Because if you could stand being away from each other, then you shouldn't be married. Then whatever. You get what I'm saying. Marriage is a lifelong commitment. You shouldn't be thinking like, well, what a pleasant surprise. This person has agreed to spend every day of the rest of their life with me. Gosh, I'm lucky. I'm glad I put my rabbit's foot in my pocket. And then the guys that ask for permission, I technically did ask for, I didn't ask permission of Erin's dad. I told him. I informed him that I would be proposing to his daughter. I went way the fuck out of my way to go upstate and tell him. I said, here's what's going to fucking happen. I'm about to enter your life in a big way. Old man, I love the guy. He was a great dude. And he really appreciated that I spoke to him about it. But I don't get that. What's the permission thing? Did you ask permission before you poked her? Before you poked her with your fucking salami the first time? Did you call her dad and say, hey, I got this situation. I just want to make sure you're cool with it. I'm about to make your daughter howl. No, you didn't ask then. Why are you asking now? I'm sure he would have rather asked when you had her bent over in the back of your Volkswagen on some muddy road with a half a bottle of Jack in her stomach. Maybe then you should have called him. That's what he would prefer. Ship has sailed now. Horse is out of the barn. Toothpaste is out of the tube. Any other analogies you want to make? I mean, Jesus. Permission? What does that even mean? Is he going to say, what if he says no? Like he owns her. What if he goes, nah, you know what? Thanks for asking. I appreciate you asking me. You know what? I'm going to hold on to her. I'm going to keep her. I'm going to keep her for myself. She's such a sweetheart and she's smoking hot. Sorry, man. And again, thanks for asking. And I appreciate that you're going to honor me saying no, because it is my property, this woman. There's a lot of this stuff is a little, I don't know. Traditions. I have very mixed feelings about traditions. But anyway, it was a great trip. The campsite was rugged. There was no hot water. There was no electricity. There was outhouses and just a spigot with cold water coming out. And you weren't allowed to do your dishes over there. You had to fill up some pots, go back to your campsite, and clean stuff out there, which, of course, attracts fucking animals. We had a fucking raccoon the size of a pit bull that was not afraid of me. He just came out right out of the woods. Just fucking looked at me. I tried to scare him away, and then I was like, what if this motherfucker bites me? And he was like clawing away. But then we went in the tent to go to sleep, and then he woke me up at like 3 a.m. He was like clawing around. I don't need that shit. But the campsite was really cool. It was really nice. We were actually in Montaña de Oro is the name of the town we were in. We spent a lot of time in Morro Bay, but we were technically in Montaña de Oro, I think it was called. Mountain of Gold. Because they have these gold-colored flowers, and the light hits them, and they kind of light up the fields. It's beautiful. And they had this cool little house that these people lived in for like 3 generations. They ran a farm on this property. After getting rid of the indigenous people, they barely mention in the little tour. There's a volunteer that gives you a little tour of the working house. And she was very nice, the old lady, Took It's always weird when someone volunteers for a full-time job. Like, we went in there twice during the week, and she was there both times. Like, she's a full-time volunteer. That's kind of fucking weird, because when you're talking to a volunteer, you never feel like you're getting the commitment of somebody who's got to be there. You always feel like you got to be, I don't want to be so nice to them. They're a volunteer, so you have to kind of like pussyfoot around them, because otherwise they're going to go like, you know what? I don't need this shit. I ain't getting paid. And they fucking storm out. Now you're alone in the gift shop. I want somebody getting a fucking check. You know? What are you volunteering for? It's like, what, you retired? And what? You just got bored? Did you get bored at home? I will never be bored when I'm retired. I got shit to do. I got Sudoku puzzles. I got golf to play. I got to throw a move on the wife. That's a half an hour a week right there. Now you're volunteering. And you're not building latrines for poor people in shithole countries, as Trump would call it. You're answering insipid questions from drunken tourists whose kids are probably shoplifting in the gift shop while you're showing them the original wood-burning stove and who cares? It's like volunteer firemen. I don't want, if my house is on fire, I don't want a volunteer showing up. You know, send the volunteer fireman to, like, you know, there's a cat in a tree type of situation. That's a volunteer job. But if my house is on fire and there's a wall of flames, I want a guy who's pulling down a check. That guy's got some more commitment. He's going to take a few more risks on the job than the volunteer guy who goes, hey, you know what? It's volunteer. I volunteer not to run into that house and save this guy's daughter. A very cool thing. We're driving home. We stopped in a town called Los Olivos, I think. And we ate in a restaurant. I think it was called the Los Olivos Winery or something. But it was the best fucking food. And it's, you know, it's wine country, and it's all these like little wine tasting places. It's a bit of a tourist stop. And it turns out we found the restaurant did you see the movie Sideways? Did you? Oh, you did? It was where they went on the double date together with the two women, Sandra Oh and the other woman. Oh, why am I forgetting that actress's name? Oh, such a fucking great. Anyway, so we were eating in that restaurant, and the food was unbelievable. So we came home and we made my son watch Sideways with us, and he now puts it in his top 5 movies of all time. It is such a revisit Sideways. It's such a fantastic movie. Thomas Hayden Church is great. Him and Paul Giamatti are just a great relationship, just a great comedic relationship. And usually Giamatti, he can chew up the scenery a little bit in a movie or a TV show like Billions. But he's perfect in this movie. And I don't believe he was even nominated for an Oscar, which is a fucking crime. I think that Thomas Hayden Church was, and he was not. I think it won Best Script. I think it got the Oscar for Best Script. I think it got the Golden Globe, and I think Giamatti got the Golden Globe. But and Sandra Oh, so fucking good in it. She was amazing. Not a lot of black characters, but then again, you're in wine country, and we did not see a lot of black characters when we were in wine country ourselves. No fucking Merlot. And I was reading online that was the famous line in it. No fucking Merlot. He hates Merlot. He looks down on it. And so I read online that following the film's release in October 2004, Merlot sales dropped 2%, while Pinot Noir sales increased 16%. A similar trend occurred in British wine outlets. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah, Merlot sales dropped. But anyway, it was great. Great trip. Fucking love my wife. It was great because it was just us. The kids, we invited the kids. They decided not to come. And we were disappointed at first. And then we were like, no, you know what? Now we don't have to worry about anybody but us. We can do whatever we want. We got up late. We were active. We were very active. But at night, we would just chill. I bought my little Bose speaker, put on some music, smoked a little pot. We danced one night to the Red Hot Chili Peppers album, Californication. Just danced by the fire, made fires. And, there were moments where when we first got there and we kind of ran out of shit to talk about, it was awkward for like a minute. Just like a minute. Where you go like, oh my God, we're going to be here for 4 days? And we ran out of shit to talk about? And then you realize that you're comfortable in each other's silence, which is beautiful. And some people never achieve that, but we were totally comfortable just sitting. And then we would talk more and we would laugh more. And I just got really lucky. I fucking scored. And we didn't take shrooms. I was thinking about bringing up a fistful of shrooms, but I didn't. I didn't think we needed it. And we didn't. I'd talk about sex in a tent, but this is a G-rated show. Speaking of G-rated or not G-rated, how's your ball hair, guys? How's your testicular coating? I have groomed only recently. I went my entire life without grooming my pubic hairs. I never wanted scissors near my testicles. I didn't think they belonged near each other. And the growth got to be pretty bad in the last couple years. Did you see the film Anaconda? It was a little bit like Anaconda. My shaft with the hairs growing around it in circles. And I realized something. My wife deserves respect. And so I began grooming, and now I'm confident. Thanks to the fine, fine people at Manscaped. They sent me a little performance package. The Performance Package 4.0 is now out. And it is got the whacker, which is the ear and nose hair trimmer, the crop preserver ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, and if they throw in some boxer briefs in a travel bag, how about that? The Lawnmower 4.0 is the thing. That's the thing that goes to work for you. And it's small. It's got a headlight. It's got a fucking headlight on it in case you want to go at it at night. You want to turn out all the lights, lay on your back, and play Edward Scissorhands, whatever you're into. You want to do it in the shower. The thing is waterproof. You can turn off all the lights, get in the shower, and shave your balls. That's a Friday night, boys. It's got cutting-edge ceramic blade. It has all kinds of stuff. All kinds of cool stuff. The ball deodorant, the crop preserver, is really nice in the heat. I would really wear it in the summer. My phone. Who's calling me on my phone? I don't even know where my phone is. Never mind. Manscaped. Look, they even threw in 2 free gifts, the boxers and the shed travel bag. So right now, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code Fitzdog, Fitzdog, at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping, the gifts, all with the code Fitzdog at manscaped.com. Escape the shrubs and weeds this summer and shine. Go to manscaped.com, manscaped.com. Don't forget, put in the promo code so they know you came from me and you get all your discounts. Okay. My guest, this is a new breath of fresh air to the show. This is a guy I've never had on before because I didn't know about him until recently. He's a young stand-up comic who has a tremendous amount of potential. He's super funny dude. He's already starting to break into TV and film. And I saw him do a couple shows last week, or in the last few weeks. And he just improvised most of the set. It just went off script, got off the stage in both cases. He does stuff at like UCB and all that, but he is really smart and funny and interesting. and he has an interesting life. He grew up in a cult as a child. So we talk about that. He was in the movie I'm Dying Up Here. He was in Sunnyside. He was in the Adam Sandler movie Father of the Year. He was on Another Period, About a Boy, This Is Us, Arrested Development. He's done a ton of shit. So look for big thanks. And I think he's only like, I don't know, he's probably 30. Maybe 30, 29, 28. I don't know. Maybe I asked him and I forget because I'm jealous. Anyway, I know you're going to love him. And also don't forget, I got some stand-up dates coming up, folks. Some just announced, as a matter of fact. I will be at Bananas in Rutherford, New Jersey, August 6th and 7th. And then 2 weeks later, August 19th through 21, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Dr. Grins. That's a fun club. The week after that, I will be in Golden, Colorado. That's August 26th through the 28th. And then Sacramento Punchline, September 16 through 18. So get all your tickets at Fitzdog.com. Come out and support some live comedy. Check out my new material. Say hello and all that. Okay, here's my interview with America's newest sweetheart, Moses Storm. Welcome, Moses. The last time I saw you, we were standing on a rooftop of a nondescript downtown hotel, taking our self-esteem and offering it up like flesh.
Yeah, it's a show that would have been completely fine. It would have been very lucky to be on if this was October 2020, when we were still in that nice phase of like everyone's out there and we're just trying and nothing's burning. But now like the Zoom shows and some of these outdoor shows, it's like a mental illness. It's like people that are addicted to the pandemic or
That's exactly right. It's like people have been, you know, I like if you were to open up all the cages of the zoo, half the animals wouldn't leave.
Right. A lot of people, I feel like, got addicted to this time where it was, I don't know, maybe they didn't have enough struggle or enough things going on, or it's a fear thing, but there is this time of like, we're just going to be in our jammies or we're going to be locked down forever.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure you know people, you've been doing this for a while, that now they have an excuse for why their career's not going well, why you're not booking club dates. It's the pandemic. And anyone that was.
And I bet you a lot of people are going to drop out. This is one of those times, like, you know how rich people get richer during depressions and recessions and chaos. And
yes.
And I think the same is true in the entertainment business. If you're the person that stayed a little bit proactive during the pandemic, nobody said excel. I resent Bo Burnham. I resent Sam Morrell. They overachieved. This was supposed to be like the yellow flag during there's a car crash at a car race. Yellow flag, stay in your lane. Okay, do that. But keep driving the fucking car.
Just sustain. Just get it through. And on that note, I mean, this sounds like shit talking, but no one made anything incredible in the lockdown. I think Bo Burnham is the closest thing to like mainstream success. And even like as comics, you can poke holes in that of like, okay, well, you're a multimillionaire playing it off like you live in this guest house. But still, it's a great piece of art and the best thing you could do with the lockdown on your own. Everything else, I mean, there is stuff that people we know, they have to go back and delete this stuff. The quarantine content is a particular level of dog shit.
It should be put in a capsule and launched into space. Although I will say Sam's was really good. I thought he went from, because I think he captured it in a way that wasn't compromising. He was still writing great jokes. I think the only thing that was compromised was the reaction from the crowds because they were, you know, calling it a crowd is, you know,
It's
not
six
accurate.
people, and you hear
Yeah.
all 6 people
Right.
individually. It's never a crowd. It's like a group of people.
Right.
But yeah, that is the best thing you could do with it. Is lean into it. It's purposely hokey. It rides that line of it's a documentary, so you're not sitting in one place.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
none of those shows are engaging enough. Any of those like rooftop or shows that I've done in a field are good enough to tape your special.
Yeah, you were talking in your set about doing you did some drive-in shows.
Yeah, I mean, I did every version of a bad show. I got an offer to do a special right before the lockdown and was essentially ready to go, ready to tape. And it's the first one, so very anxious to get that out and move some tickets for future dates. But so I tried everything in earnest of like, I'm not going to go in this with a cynical attitude. I'm going to try because maybe there's a cool way that you can do this, and nothing works.
Yeah, right.
The drive-in shows were probably Zoom was the worst.
Yeah, I did one Zoom show, and I replied to a text on my computer while performing stand-up comedy, and that's when I realized I really shouldn't be doing this.
That's it.
Texting and driving is bad enough, but texting and performing should never happen.
It should never happen. And when the set doesn't go well, usually you can leave. You want to leave as quick as possible. No one should have to bomb in their own living room.
Yes, I know. That's true.
Right? It's like it's such a space that it's like, oh, I was here and it didn't go well right there.
Yeah. It's why you should never let somebody sleep over on a one-night stand. You don't know how it's going to go. You want to know how
it's going to go.
Yeah. Go to their place.
Yeah, you start sobering up, and then it's just like, oh, you're just like a person. I made a lot of promises last night. I don't think I didn't see a single set where people did not bail on their set. No one made it through, unless it was like your first year doing it, where you're like, I did it. I got my speech out.
Right.
I think people would try. They would go into like, so everyone has a sourdough starter kit, right? What did we turn into? We're all Mennonites, and all right. Do you guys want to see my dog? And then they would take some dog that doesn't want to be a part of this, squirming in.
Yeah, right.
Let me take you around the apartment.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on in the backgrounds. It was more interesting than what was happening. I found myself only looking over people's shoulders during Zoom, any kind of Zoom meeting or whatever.
See how they're living.
Yeah. I want to see if you clean. I want to see if you shop at IKEA or if you spend the extra hour and go find a piece of furniture you didn't assemble.
Right. Yeah, that was the celebrities really shot themselves in the foot with all their well wishes that they would send out, because they would try to pick the most slumming it room that they have.
Right.
Yeah, here's Howie Mandel's guest room that's in the guest house. Let's do that one. It's got old wallpaper. They're just like us. And they're telling us to stay inside.
They've got 12 guitars back there and they don't play guitar.
No. Oh, yeah. The old Jost.
Yeah. The Jost?
Yeah, Colin Jost got roasted on Twitter because the first like SNL back, he did a weekend update with the guitar that was like, sitting on the corner of the couch. So set up.
Yeah.
That if you like when you see you walk into a play, you're like, oh, they're definitely going to use that.
Yeah. Right. You got to use it.
Such our benefit.
As those of us who have spent our time on the boards know, if you're going to put a gun on the stage, you got to shoot the fucking gun.
Got to shoot the gun.
Yeah.
But it was propped up in a way that you would never, if you actually play guitar, you'd be like, well, no, it's going to fall. Don't do it like that.
Yeah. Right. Or it's like when you, when they do a scene in a bar and people are putting their drinks on the bar, I'm sorry, a pool table in a bar, and people put their drinks on it, you go, that wouldn't fucking happen. No bar that I've ever shot pool in would allow some chick to put her drink on the felt. It wouldn't happen.
Never. Even like the grimiest places that you've been to, even there, like that's the line.
Yeah.
This is the place that, like a bar that still has carpet.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not coming out. So I did try everything. The car shows was not even a show. I mean, you're shouting at people in a lot, and silence is better than honks because it's a warning sound. It's like, we'll play the siren like the Iron Dome is about to go off in Israel. It's that level of relaxing.
Yeah, and then people are. I saw somebody during my set. I did one in Irvine on a rooftop, and a guy started his car and drove away. I had a walkout. I had a drive out during a show.
Right, because usually now, I mean, it happens all the time at clubs. You're like, oh, they're probably going to the bathroom. Maybe they can take a phone call and come back. But to start a machine, to get help from security to back the machine out, it's like if they were leaving the club and they took the entire table and chairs with them.
Yeah, right.
Because the headlights come on too, and we are just so prone to look at like, oh, the light. They're giving you the light on how much their tolerance could take. Right,
and then they start cranking their Anthony Jeselnik CD with the windows open on the way out.
On the way out, let you hear it.
And I stop to listen because I'm a fan.
You got to, right? It's just solid joke writing.
I'm not going to do better than that. It's racist, but it's not racist.
It's not racist. You know, if it's clever enough, it's fine, I guess. Yeah, so none of those worked. I mean, it was a fun experiment. Definitely drive-in movies work, but the whole idea behind a drive-in movie is that you're probably going to hook up with the person you're on a date with, or you're hooking up in the car.
Yeah.
Essentially is it. Or if you're married, it's like, oh, it's a night out. We're technically doing something, but you can kind of talk through it.
Yeah.
You're not premiering new movies, or no one's going to a new movie if you really wanted to watch it.
Right.
To be pay attention to a very autofocus screen. The one I went to that's here in LA, where it's like an hour and a half out of LA, it's overrun with stray cats that assault each other during the entirety of the movie. I mean, I shit you not, it sounds like a joke, but it's just like cat fights, just and there's just garbage everywhere, and they live off of like scraps of self-brought food from people.
That's it's just great.
Stray cats.
What movie did you see?
The Shutter Island.
Shutter Island.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo.
It was kind of sexy, wasn't it?
It was, and it was a new movie too that I really wanted to see. But I think I might have been the third wheel, or I was with a girl that was just the friend of the other couple that was hanging out.
Right.
So we didn't do anything. So I was just like, I just want to watch this movie.
Yeah. From the back seat.
From the back seat.
Yeah.
Well, I think they got out and they were laying on the hood.
Uh-huh.
And then I stayed in the car because I was like, that's where the speakers are. Just a very frustrated young man in the car trying to enjoy Shutter Island.
Well, where I was born in the Bronx, there was a drive-in movie theater that was right around the corner from when you would get on the Cross Bronx Expressway. You could, from the on-ramp, you could see the screen, and there was a guardrail that was just fucking mangled from people crashing while trying to watch the movie and drive. Of
course.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course. I mean, do you think about that going down Sunset Boulevard, like on the way to the Comedy Store, there's that NBC flashing banner. I mean, it's not even a full video. It's just like a little GIF of like Mario Lopez and then whatever about to be canceled sitcom that I'm on. It flashes, and it's so much brighter than headlights. It's moving images, and we're instantly just
yeah. And it's Mario Lopez. I know for me, when Mario pops up, stop everything.
Stop everything.
It means I probably just checked into my hotel room. I'm unpacking. I turned the TV on. He's gonna tell me which pay-per-views are looking good this week.
He is hotel TV.
Yeah.
He's like a premium hotel TV host. Like other hotel TV hosts look at him, or sometimes it's just an algorithm. They look at him like, that's the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. You sell merch for Mario Lopez. That's how big of a fan you are.
Yes.
Hotel TV. Yeah. That's a hard life. Have you ever been tempted to go down the host realm, it happens to a lot. I mean, more actors, but stand-up, it can be almost a trap where you start hosting things and you just become that.
Well, I hosted a game show on MTV when I was about your age. What are you, about 28?
31.
Oh, well, when I was 28, I hosted a game show on MTV, and I didn't like audition for it. I was on the road doing stand-up, and I got a call that Zach Galifianakis was originally the host, and then they got to the first day of taping, and they realized that he was dyslexic and couldn't read the cue cards, and so he was let go, and they needed me to take over. And so I said, well, I really don't want to host a game show.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we shoot 4 episodes a day, and you get X amount per show. And it was like a decent amount, especially for me at that time. I was like, yeah. So I was on the next plane to New York, and I did it. And then it aired, and it did well. But then I did an interview with Time Out New York magazine, and they said, do you really want to be a game show host? This woman said this to me, not during the interview. It was sort of like we'd already done the interview, and we were walking to the subway. And I was like, like totally off the record. I was like, not real. I really don't want to be hosting a game show. There's other things. And that was the headline of the story: is MTV host does not want to be hosting the show. And it fucking blew up. It was like, I was so embarrassed because all these people work so hard on the show, the writers and producers, and here I am shitting on it. And I'm the face of the show. And it was the most embarrassed I've ever been in my life.
What are the agents and managers saying then? Because this is like, hey, it's a job for you. That's not Comedy Club of Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, my manager pushed it at the time, and I do think it was a mistake. Like, I don't think that, I think it took me off track a little bit, Yeah,
I mean, it was a presumed off-the-record conversation.
Oh, you mean about the interview? Oh, yeah, I thought you meant hosting the show. No, are you kidding me? The show was going to get picked up for second season, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And I think the interview might have had something to do with it. Oh, it was terrible.
I hosted something on also MTV where they make it for you get I think maybe $5,000. And this is post with they know what MTV is now. Where it's we just crank it out. Usually we're paying people off of Tinder to do a dating show, and we humiliate them and their whole family. It was essentially exactly at midnight, but I was the host, and it was Throwback Thursday. So all the topics would be Throwback Thursday related. I'm also severely dyslexic and dysgraphic, cannot read a teleprompter. So I came in the day before and memorize the teleprompter. They put it at a speed, they put it in a different font that's more recognizable, and then came in, asked to come in the day before and essentially memorize the teleprompter, or at least enough of the bullet points so I knew what to say.
What's dysgraphic?
It's the order of things. So dyslexia will be the overall word. You presume in your mind because you recognize shapes of a word, but you would never be able to tell if the word Sunday paper was misspelled behind you.
Right.
Dysgraphic has much more to do with numbers. It's the order of things. And most people are born with it. Sometimes it's developed. And I've never been to school in my life or had any kind of sort of curriculum or ability to work on that. So it's the order of things. So there's things like if I'm in a car and I'm supposed to give directions, I can't tell right from left.
Wow.
Yeah. Or so a lot of career choices and where I am now is because of these things of this is what I can do.
Right.
And anytime I've been offered to be in a writing room, it's no, I'm more of a performer, but it's just out of ability and the fear that I would have to read something out loud.
It's incredible how many people that have the dysgraphic and dyslexic problems, that they have become wasn't Steve Jobs dyslexic? There's some hugely successful people.
Steve Jobs, Richard Branson of space fame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Robert Redford. Yeah, people. It's possible to live. I mean, I think going to school definitely helps, and the more you read, the better you get at it. But if reading's not enjoyable, it's sort of this catch-22 of like, well, I get headaches when I read, and it takes me maybe 8 times as long to read something. But then there's all these cop-outs that I don't know if they're true, but it's great to lie to yourself that dyslexic people are more creative. You're used to thinking outside the box because you've always had to work around the system. You're supposed to be a better listener because you have to be. If you can't take notes in class, you just have to listen, and much more visual. And apparently you're more creative. So I'm choosing to take those, even though there's no science behind it.
Well, there's a lot of logic behind it, and it definitely means that you've got tenacity. I mean, because there's people that give into it and just don't do anything, and to overcome it means that you're always looking for another way to do it, to like however it needs to get done, you do. I mean, you hear about people that these are the people that wake up at 5 a.m. and do that extra bit so they can just be the same as everybody else. It's amazing.
I gotta come in the day before and write a bunch of jokes about, or memorize jokes about Throwback Thursday. Can you believe we used to wear different clothes from a different time?
Yeah. Right.
Because it's a different time. So it is like I just have to do more work. If I have an audition, it takes maybe 8 times as long to just memorize lines.
No kidding, really?
In that order. And everything I've gotten is because I've improv'd. Like, oh, you're so great, you add things. And it's like, well, I couldn't learn your words, so I made it my thing.
Because I've only seen you do stand-up a couple times, and I was very, very impressed with your stand-up. I respect the fact that you're really stay connected to the moment, and it's brave to let, and I know maybe you don't have a choice. Maybe you can't even memorize your own material that well, but you certainly do a different show every time.
Thank you for that. I think, that means a lot coming from you. I mean, you're incredible.
Oh, thanks.
So, but it is a thing where I'm working on something that has to be pretty airtight and memorized. So every time I'm doing sets, it's a nice break from that.
Yeah.
Because you know how you're working on a late night set and you know that 5 minutes like the back of your hand. You almost, if you keep running it, you start bombing with that 5 minutes.
Right.
I'm trying to avoid it. Also, it's so stressful for me. I'm putting all this pressure, like specials mean anything anymore. So I'm like, this is your shot. So make it good.
Well, it means something in the sense of like, I always look at it like, in your lifetime, you'll be able to accomplish certain things. Like maybe you write a book, maybe you do a 1-hour special, maybe you do one good movie. And then like, I always think about like my grandkids that I'm going to be able to sit them down and go like, here's the things that I did that means like, that's more important to me than anything. It's just at the end of it, being able to look back and say, I did a few good things, And
they're going to be like, what is stand-up comedy? The pandemic wiped that out. What do you mean? You just describe memes? Is that what stand-up is? You go and you're like, it's a long meme.
Yeah, right. You lost me on It's Good to Be Here in Cleveland. I had already switched to another channel.
It's like, who's doing this anymore? People are lip syncing. That's a talent. You can have a career from lip syncing. Just a person, not even a person with talent.
Right.
Yeah, it is. It does. I don't know. I could be wrong. I think there's always going to be something really engaging about stand-up as an art form, but I don't know. Has it always felt like it's on the way out?
I think it's like rock and roll. They're always declaring it dead.
Yeah.
But the parameters on stand-up comedy are there's none. I mean, you literally, nobody ever tells you before you go on, hey, listen, you need to stay within this 6-foot radius near the microphone, and you need to, just talk in your own voice. I mean, people make fun of guitar acts or whatever. It's like,
unless you have a headliner that's like, hey, don't do any voices, don't do anything about dating, don't do anything about those headliners are like, why are you headlining if you can't dig yourself out of your feature?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No, but I just think that people don't explore, and I think you do explore the, breaking the parameters down a little bit. Like, so I think that stand-up is always gonna morph and change. Like Bill Burr was talking the other night. He's like, I love being back out doing smaller rooms because I get to see what the younger comics are doing. And he's like, no matter how long you do stand up, it's always changing. And if you're not in tune with like what people are trying and what audiences are reacting to, you're going to get really stale. And it's true. Like I get excited. I've had such a good time, like, especially at the West Side Comedy Theater. They're doing a really good job booking acts that I haven't seen before that are really good. So I'm, I live in Venice and I love getting there early and, seeing who's on and,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because it's, I don't know how much is like you get out of touch with the time. And then also a lot of stand-up is just complaining. And what the things you're complaining about is discomfort. If you get down to it, like if you have to be in coach, you're late for the plane, and money, essentially you buy yourself out of any sort of discomfort.
Yeah.
So if you have this huge career and if you become the level, I'm not talking about Tiffany Haddish, but if you become that level, then you're not interacting with a difficult hotel clerk. It's just your assistant that you could hire or fire. You're never having those accidents. So then you start to see like a rich guy stand up, which just becomes like celebrity stories.
Right.
Like, this is not relatable at all. This is like a public appearance.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's why I'm fascinated by Curb Your Enthusiasm, because here's Larry David, who doesn't pretend he's not a billionaire.
Right.
Doesn't pretend he has any real problems. And yet the show stays fresh. It's one of the few examples of rich guy comedy that still works.
I think if you can out-funny your life circumstance, and that's for both things. If you're struggling, you're not weighed down by it, you could get some perspective on it to be able to transform that into an audience or transmute it into a joke. Because I've definitely made the mistake of like right after I got dumped. Well, I think she cheated on me, and then I said, with all the self-confidence, hey, it's okay, you could see us both. So that's how I was doing. And then she said no to that. And then I went on stage that night and was
That's
like,
I'm
just going to be
fired
raw.
and saying, well, can I still work part-time?
I know. And she still said no. It's going to be the new guy that I technically cheated with. And then, because after a breakup, you want to retain some sort of like, at least I told her. Yeah. Or if you get cheated on, the one time you're clearly in the right. And I was like, you could see both of us. But then tried to go on stage that night, and it was like a brewery show, just giant echoey space, and just like on the verge of a collapse. And I'm like, I'll just so raw right now. Let me just go up there. No distance from it. So just an angry speech. Just the loudest guy at the brewery.
Then nothing to be salvaged out of that set?
No, nothing. People, the wrong thing. People were like, that's great. You're getting back up there. I bummed a guy out that was doing cocaine after. I was like, I kept talking about the breakup. And then he's like, yeah, man, I'm going to go back inside. But your only chance at the captive audience is maybe a guy in LA doing cocaine, and blew that. Yeah. So anyway, that would just be like, you got to get distance from it. Like just now on stage, I'm starting to talk about the cult that I was raised in. Because I tried it when you
mentioned that to me the other night. So wait, does that have to do with the fact that you just said you'd never been to school?
Yeah.
Is that legal?
No, it's not. And some people are wanted in certain states, and some people can't do things, but we never snitched. But I was raised in a doomsday cult, a very unsuccessful, like non-Netflix doomsday cult, where they never had their moment in the sun. It never had. I think what I was telling you is like, I get jealous of that episode 2 or like the second act of every cult documentary where before they tear it down, they show how toxic it is. They'll show you like everyone was doing yoga, and it was the first time that I let go of my husband's death. And our numbers kept climbing, and we got the compound. We never had that. We never got to compound rich. 0 followers. There was a total of 3 families in the cult, and then they just had a bunch of kids. They just like made members. Yeah.
3 family and the 3 families interbred with each other?
No. In fact, that might have helped a lot to keep the message cohesive.
Yeah.
A big part of the failure was like, it was started by my great uncle, James, and everyone was in a bus. And for the first half of my life, we lived just not like a tour bus, but like a shelled out Greyhound bus, ripped the seats out, put mattresses down, a shoddy sink, like 4 wheels away from being homeless. And then just lived in campgrounds. And the idea was that we were going to spread the word of this religion by street preaching.
And your uncle had written the tenets of the religion?
He wrote tracts. The only thing I've ever gotten a laugh on is like his origin stories, like building it up. He was a college football player. He's like the running back of Michigan State University. So that's his whole identity. He gets hit, and as he's being carted off the field, he knows that his career's over. He calls out to God, like, what should I do? And then the heavens open up. God comes onto the field. It's not a man. It's not a light orb. It is just, you know it when you see it. It's God. And God tells him the word of this new religion and says that he has to spread it. It's a miracle. And then the joke is like, well, we now know that that's called CTE. That is brain damage. It's very popular. And then I know where to go from there. But that's like the one thing.
Wow.
But that is the truth. I mean, he got hit.
Wow. I wonder if the guy who hit him was aware that he started a religion with one tackle.
He was the Antichrist.
Yeah.
In the prophecy, it was him.
And how, if it was a doomsday cult, what was the prostitution, prognosis?
So pretty much a mix of Judaism and Catholicism, a lot more Catholicism in there. So New Testament, pretty much the book of Revelation. Growing up constantly through the first 12 years of my life, I felt like God was going to end the world in a matter of 45 minutes from now. Like,
and was that contingent on your actions, or was it random?
It was whenever God wants to come back. We're just going to try to be as good as possible, but there's no reason to go to school. There's no reason to get a job that could sustain a family, because it's like 45 minutes from now. Like if you leave now, you're going to be late. It's over.
Right.
So there's a lot of what happened to 2020 was in the prophecy of like disease, famine, chaos in the streets.
Wow.
So that was the first year I felt like maybe there's something to this.
Do you think that had anything to do with? I can't help wondering if like maybe he had this kind of dyslexia, dysgraphic, whatever, and that he couldn't accomplish things, and so he set up this paradigm where, well, why bother? You have to live in the moment.
Right.
You think
that
he
is
had
an interesting way to look at it? Especially imagine your identity's over. Imagine you get canceled tomorrow, right? And your whole identity as a stand-up is gone.
Right.
You'd have to shuffle into something where it's all over then.
Right.
I don't die, the world dies.
Yeah.
And then, yes, if he's someone that's dyslexic, I know that my mom is severely dyslexic. The sign never made it out, but we would be those people with big neon signs that say you're headed for hell. Big block letters, be on college campuses yelling at people, and like county fair, we'd be outside screaming at people that they're going to hell. Yeah. No, and then one of the signs, it never made it out, but like if in joke terms, I'll say that it did, but there was a sign that said, you're headed for heel. She had misspelled it. But yeah, we'd be outside like a music festival, like a Coachella, but back then, or a fun run for The Cure. And we would have James's tracks with us that we'd pass out to people. And then my dad had a big wooden cross he'd carry around. And we'd yell at people. And the idea was like the younger the kid, like that's an interest catcher. So get the youngest kid out there. Right.
So you were like 7 or 8 years old and you're standing in front of
three.
Oh my
like
God.
Still shitting my pants. And then you're like, go. And then if you have a little 3-year-old came up to you, you'd be like, hi. And then she'd be like, you're headed for heel. Not knowing what that meant. Yeah.
Wow.
So that happened for maybe 5 years. We did that. And then I think just like really fizzled out.
So by the time you were 8 or 10 years old, the cult was over?
Well, we were so spread out. So my great uncle is still alive and still doing this today. Wow. He travels the world with this. He's got 8 kids and a wife, and the kids have yet to rebel that I know about, but they've never had like a sexual partner. They just all live together. They're in Brazil a lot. They do capoeira on the street to draw people in, and then boom, hit them with the religion.
Wow.
And they do a lot of good work too. I mean, they go and like help poor schools in third world countries. They help them like build a school, but all with this religious slant. Now, I'm sure that they probably have converted people, but I know that my parents and then the other family didn't recruit a single member, not a soul.
So you had no friends. You had no kids your own age to hang out with.
Not only that, kids are evil. Every child is born pure, and as they get older, you get corrupted by Satan. So if you're talking to an 8-year-old, that kid's already doomed to hell. So we were like not allowed, meaning like she would get fucking furious if we were ever to just talk to a kid in any sort of social way.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. God.
Yeah. So as an adult, I mean, I overcompensate a lot, but still have all this anxiety, and it's still, I don't know. It's still very hard to talk to people. I got nervous for this today.
You did?
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, it does. This is Fitzdog Radio. I mean,
this is a lot. I feel the gaze from you.
I think you're gonna see your social media numbers start to really pop from this. Those are my listeners.
Yeah, this is gonna be a real turning point for me.
Yeah, but so then, what's your relationship with your parents like today after going through all that?
It's like peers. It's like a mutual respect. My mom is just like, I think from a young age, when you're all making the same amount of money, which is no money, that's a big power shift of like, I don't go to her for help. If I need help with something, if I got fucked up and I hit a woman in an intersection of a car, like that wouldn't be the first call.
Right.
If everything was spiraling out, I don't have that mother-son relationship. This is someone I love, I deeply care about, I forgive for all this. Is why I'm able to start talking about this now, because it's not like faux forgiveness. It's just like, oh, I get it. I've made mistakes as an adult. Not like that, but still some mistakes, so I could understand why someone did that. And then my dad, I think, is mad at me right now, or at least his new wife is, because on Conan, I said that he didn't pay child support. And their anger is like, well, you can't tell people that because I'm wanted for not paying child support. And he goes, for the record, I was paying, and then but then I stopped paying. So I guess that's better. So he's upset. Oh, he did complain to me because I was like, yeah, we ate from the garbage growing up. We'd go to a grocery store, we'd take like whatever was in the dumpster. That was our primary food source. And he goes, yeah, well, I had it hard too. I have it hard now because I'm wanted in the state of Florida. Like he can't, so he's like, I can't lease a car. So that's every man's dream. And he can't get a passport. So which means he can't go on the cruises that he wants to go on.
Oh, I see.
They leave. They can only go on like the national ones. So
things are bad when Florida, the place where you end up when no one else will take you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Where even they're like, hey, you got to pay child support. Florida's stepping in as a parent.
Yeah. You're not good enough to be a Florida man.
One of the funny things that I don't have a joke for, but it's a fun specific. I'm just like, you could do the cop out move of like, I don't even have a joke for that. In the divorce paperwork in Florida, my mom got full custody of 5 of their children, provided that my dad get custody of the bus. So that was in actual paperwork. he chose, and it's not even a good bus.
Was it that she didn't want the bus or that he didn't want you guys?
Right? I think it's a lot of that. Of like, I don't know, here's my out as a man. Like, it's a lot to have all those kids.
Wow.
And he wanted the bus, and she wasn't arguing with it. We were in a sweet double wide trailer at this point.
Oh, things were looking up.
Yeah, things were looking up.
So did they
never...
Did they leave the...
But yeah, so we were barely making rent on that double wide trailer that was sinking. I think the woman just took pity on us we're renting that out.
So why didn't you start going to school at that point?
I think my mom mainly was like now too scared to enter the school system because we'd be so far behind.
Yeah.
10 years old and I can't read or write at this point. Basic arithmetic. When I say that homeschool is a generous term, we went to no school. I think my two older siblings, they got some light schooling where they would just like put a book down in front of them and be like, shapes, read it.
Right.
But I still struggle with reading today. So that really hurts my MTV hosting prospects.
I know.
But never went to school until 1 year when we moved to California briefly when I was, I think, 11. Yeah, and state of California is much more strict than Florida. Who knew? And if your kids are going to continue to receive welfare, and we're on the most amount of welfare you can be on, you have to provide LA Unified, or at this point Antelope Valley Unified school records, like a report card to like kids are in school. So she enrolled me and my younger sister into a middle school because I think she was like, oh, that would get us in the least amount of trouble.
Right.
Like older siblings, if you were to enroll them in high school, major red flags.
Yeah.
Of unsocialized, weird kids that won't break eye contact mixed with a zero understanding of basic arithmetic.
Wow.
So I take an administrative test in the summer session. She's like, ugh, maybe no one's watching. You're not getting your A squad in the summer session. And I test into a class. I get into this class and I'm in this class for 4 hours. I didn't think anything of it, that you'd be in one classroom for 4 hours. There's other kids in there, some kids in wheelchairs, more kids in wheelchairs. I had tested so low that I was placed into a special ed, but they didn't know anything about school at all. So I was just like, people are incredibly nice here.
And such small classrooms.
Yeah. Such small classrooms. You don't have to leave. It's like circular tables. When I did read a sentence out loud, people were like, wow, incredible. But I could tell, like, what tipped it off is the tone that they speak to you in. I'm just like, yeah, you're going to use the bathroom? Like, wrong energy, wrong. That's what tipped it off, not the kids with cerebral palsy or the one classroom. So I was in that for maybe a week until we got enough paperwork to forge the names and the grades for the rest of the kids. So
you're pretty, things like arithmetic, geometry, biology, like you just don't have much awareness about that, or have you schooled yourself?
I've schooled myself. The internet has made it incredibly easy. Like, I'm at the point now where I know this is wrong, but like, kids don't need school. You don't need to know like who John Adams was. You just need to know enough things to use Google.
Right.
Like, you should be able to spell a word close enough where Google's like, did you mean?
Yeah.
But you don't need to know about like root syllables and all that stuff. That's the extent of my knowledge, even for this example. But I think the technology makes it very easy to be incredibly ignorant at school. I can use like speak to text. Google's pretty smart with most things that I know it's wrong, but I'm like, it's never been easier to not go to school and still survive as an adult.
See, you're in a kind of a weird paradigm. And I think, and Zach, you remind me of Zach a little bit in a number of ways. Like, your style on stage is similar. He was always, inventive on stage.
Loose.
And but also that you must have a certain low self-esteem from feeling like you weren't educated, but at the same time, you've got a confidence. You have a sense of self that's very present. So those two things must really battle with each other. Because you're smart. I mean, you're not educated, but you also must know you're an intelligent person.
Yeah, I think if I was in school and had the proper things, I would be doing well academically. But you can't help but have all those insecurities of, if I have to read things out loud, it's incredibly humiliating. If it's like cold read, it's going to be off. Or I won't take a job writing on a show. I mean, I'll write my own things because, like, I'm the showrunner, you write.
Yeah.
But anytime I had gotten offered a job, I just show up and be me and get hired. I've turned it down because of a self-esteem thing that would ever come out that I don't, even though it's not entirely my fault. There is this thing. But there is the question, like, well, why don't you do that now? Why are you, watching another episode of Meyer of Easttown? Why not go look up what syllables are? Why don't you do that? But the problem is that it is so easy to get away with it, and I've essentially chosen a path where you don't need to know a lot.
Wow. This is an indictment of the school system, isn't it? That you can exist and thrive. Yeah.
I think if you want to do well on YouTube, epic takedown. We need that. We need to learn from that journalist that almost sunk your career. Moses Storm says school is fraud.
I can tell you that from, paying $50,000 a year to watch my son sit in our garage and probably masturbate most of the day.
He's going to college?
Yeah. He's
out here? If he's living with you?
Well, it's online. That's the point. It's all online. He's in Chicago. His school is in Chicago, but he spent the year at home with us.
Yeah.
And he didn't learn shit. He's the first one to tell you, I didn't get anything out of this year. And it's like, well, then why did you go? What, he's like, I didn't know. But I mean, if we could do it over again, there's no way we would have paid the school to have him sit in on some Zoom classes every day.
Right.
Joke.
It's like when you see those shows, it's like $25 for a Zoom comedy show. It's like, well, it's not the same.
Yeah.
It should be free.
Right.
It should be sustained. We'll pay you later, school. We're going to float you.
Yeah.
But we're not paying for the education.
Yeah,
Whatever keeps the lights on.
I would totally give him the money if he didn't want to go to college and he wanted to travel the world and do shit. I would don't tell him this, and he doesn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Or his friends. But I wouldn't hesitate to say, take $50,000 and live a year and go to museums, go, see the remote parts of the earth, read great books. He would learn more.
Start a cult, try it, it's a life experience.
Right.
Did you go to school yourself? Like college?
I did. Yeah, I did. Harvard was right across the river from my college. I went to Boston University.
I love that.
And but I barely got in. I had my own issues with learning, nothing like yours. But I got pretty bad grades. I was lucky to get into school. But I don't know what I got from it. I mean, I think maybe it socialized me a little bit. And
I think that's it.
It teaches you just enough to be a little bit pretentious in front of your parents who didn't go to college.
Yeah, because actually at the university, that's not true.
Right.
The social aspect, absolutely. I think my argument immediately falls apart. I think the biggest thing, and you'll notice it now with people, how weird people are now post-pandemic. You need to be around people that absolutely hate your guts. They have no vested interest in your life. You need to learn how to interface with those people. And I did not have that. It wasn't like an overly supportive system. It's just learning how to deal with that. That it's not the end of the world if someone hates you or someone's rude to you or blows you off. So I think that is the education, and college could be a continuation of that. Like, oh, now you're doing it as an adult on your own. You're learning how to socialize and have that. But it does, the college part starts to seem like a scam. Like I could see how that, in the current state of like who's making money, it's Logan Paul who's fighting people on the internet.
Right, and it's people that are, you know, like anybody you're learning from in college is by definition done doing what they're teaching you how to do. So you're getting 10 years ago's version of film editing, or, you know, like pretty much, unless you're talking about the classics or something that don't change. But most people are going to school today for like communications and business. I mean, business is changing every month. You know, the way commerce is conducted now, you can't learn that from a guy who, you know, launched a business in the 70s and then he kind of petered out and decided to teach for a living after that. What are you going to learn from that guy?
That's why I feel like every acting class or anytime there's like a stand-up class, it's always an 80s comedian.
Yep. Like
I was Mark Ruffy, and then, or whatever your name is. It's like, well, I'm learning from you. That's the old system, something that's evolving. If these like Instagram hucksters were teaching a business class, like Gary Vee, these guys are like positive, Ty Lopez, if they were doing it, I'd be like, I want to know what your grift is. I want to learn how to do that.
Right.
But yeah, if you're teaching, it is a very bad point of view, but if you're like those who can't teach.
Yep. That being said, it's a good fucking racket. It's a good way to get out of your business, whatever it is. Go teach. You know, would
you ever teach a comedy class?
I don't think I would teach a comedy class, but I was an English major in college, and I would teach creative writing. And I've written on a lot of TV shows. I would teach television writing, but I don't think I could look people in the eye and say I can teach you how to do stand-up comedy. I think it's, you know, it's like what you said. You kind of, you got to see what's going on today, and you know, and I also just think that the only way you'll be a good comic is starting from scratch, just going on stage yourself and figuring out what works. I think the more you're told the right way to do it, the less chance you're going to discover what it is that makes you really special.
Right. Because you always be like, oh, I didn't follow the teacher's note. Yeah, I should.
Never. Here's what I'll teach you kids today. Never go on stage with a guitar. Right. Never, you know, no, there's no never.
There's no never. There is no rules of like, never run the light. Like, sometimes you get the best stuff after running the light.
Yeah.
You should do that. But it is a thing of like, yes, it's such a specific thing that how could you ever teach what you do? Yeah. Unless you wanted to pop. Like people go like, what do you like to the server? It's like, everyone has a different palate.
Exactly.
There's millions of taste buds. You don't know what they like, you know? You might
I've seen like, you know, middle-aged men ask the African-American teenager behind the ticket booth at a movie theater, what's good? What do you like?
Wait, for like a movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean? Go on the internet. And even that is like, well, I don't know that person's life. If you've ever gone to the rabbit hole of the Yelp reviews of people, it's like, well, it sounds like you had a bad experience because you're a bad person.
You're right. Exactly.
You're going through a divorce, and that's doing the heavy lifting and why you didn't like the fish tacos.
Yeah. A lot of times when people complain about something with a business, it's the customer service. It's like one person made them angry and now they're shitting on an entire furniture store for their quality.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten complaints? I don't know if they do it anymore. It's very rarely see the comment cards at stand-up clubs.
No. I had this guy one time. I did a high school prom show in Iowa. I used to do a lot of college shows.
Wait. A high school prom.
Yeah.
They're like, cut the music. They're playing like, I don't know what year it is, but like Who Let the Dogs Out. They bring the energy to a screeching halt.
Yep.
And now this guy who looks like your father is going to do stand up.
That's right. No, I was young at the time. I did it I did it when I was young, and I go out and I did my act, and I was dirty, but I mean, I wasn't filthy. And then I got this letter sent to my agent, and my agent forwarded to me. and it was the principal of the school, Dr. Dave Nixon. I'll never forget his name. And he said that I corrupted the values of the children because I invited them to my motel room for a keg party. I talked about having sex with my grandmother. These are all quotes from the letter. And so,
okay, all jokes. It sounds like jokes, premises, yes.
So I get the letter, and then I went on, and I was going to do the Conan O'Brien show about 3 weeks later, and I had started reading the letter on stage because I thought it was so funny, and the Conan producer saw me read it on stage, and he goes, "You're doing that on the show." And so I read. We had to change the name of the school and the principal, but I read the letter on stage.
Yeah.
And it killed. And I sent a copy. I made a copy. It was so long ago. It was a VHS tape, and I mailed it to the guy at the school.
That is great. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love turning that around because it's like, well, I'm going to spend way more time on this than you could ever with your spell check. Maybe you might send it to a friend like, hey, could you read this?
Yeah.
But yeah, to get the laughs, they're on your side. Now you're on TV.
Yeah, and he's asking for he wanted the check back. He wanted his money back for the show, but that was long since gone.
God, I wish you could say his name.
Dr. Dave Nixon.
So much more satisfying. So go back, and using this podcast, we can edit that in to that clip.
Right.
Yeah, those comic cards, I mean, I don't think they're doing them anymore.
No.
For anyone that's listening to that, you shouldn't be booking. You shouldn't be the talent booker.
Yes. And I know they were doing them at Side Splitters in Tampa Bay, and Sam Morrell got a hold of one, and he read it to me on my podcast when he came on a while back, and he made a meal out of it, and he put it on social media. And don't feed us. You're just giving us grizzle to make fun of.
Exactly. We're looking for that.
Yeah.
Please do that.
Yeah. It's almost like, there's nowadays, like, I think there's certain comedians that they're trolling you to troll them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When with Jay Larson, like, kept calling that guy. I mean, how much is that is making it work for the bit? But yeah, it's like, well, we have nothing but time.
Wait, what did Jay Larson do?
To work. Jay Larson has his whole Conan set is just one joke, essentially, or one story joke. About someone that called him who had the wrong number, and then he just plays along with it, and then it escalates into a whole thing, a whole callback. Yeah. It essentially ruins this guy's life, or like stresses him out, at least in the joke version of it.
Yeah, there's a British comic. What's the guy's name? I can't think of it, but he wrote a whole book, and it's transcripts of him calling. Getting solicited through spam from like the Middle East. They've got the Nigerian prince email.
Oh, yeah.
And he calls them, and he stays on top of them until they beg him to stop calling.
To stop calling. It's everyone's fantasy.
Yeah.
I think I know who that is. I don't think I've ever gotten a complaint that I know about. Anyone that thought was important.
You got a complaint the other night when you did that hotel. The owner of the hotel was complaining.
Yeah.
What did he say to you?
So the owner of the hotel, not the booker of the show at all, was like, hey, yeah, I heard all that. I own the hotel. That was great. That was great. Like that little passive aggressive, funny stuff. It's my place though. Yeah, because it was basically saying like the hotel is made to go cheat on your wife with those guys, and that this shouldn't happen. Yeah, this is overpriced. It's just those like hotels are not really luxurious as they are hip.
Yeah,
it's like you took out the carpet. It's a concrete floor. The room's not better.
Right.
Because there's less things in there. It's not an armoire. You get one drawer.
Yeah.
I'm banned from Kansas City Comedy Club or Comedy Club of Kansas City.
Oh, what happened?
I was having a bad week, and they're having a bad club all the time. This was it was leading up to when I thought the special was going to tape. So burnt out. This is like weekend 31 out of what was going to be 40 weekends leading up to the taping of the special. So, I mean, you become a little you're taking for granted the stage time. You're very comfortable on stage, very present, and you're used to like, oh, I came from Pittsburgh Improv, which was incredibly nice. It's essentially an outdoor mall under a bridge. You're taken care of. They don't have as much money. I mean, I pull up in the Uber and the Uber guy says, "Oh, this place is still here." That was strike one. The Hoarders episode is happening in the green room because it's just stuff from like failed Red Bull fridges, sad merch. There's like an Aries Spears box of t-shirt back there. It's like, are you moving? The green room door doesn't close because they didn't adjust the frame for like it settling, which means the business is not settling. And I'm like, all this is fine. Yeah. Still, I'm fine. The opener is a teacher it's her first week doing stand-up. And she ends with like, it's a teacher rap. It's a teacher rap. It bombs every night. Yeah. Every show, it bombs. A lot of it's my fault, but it's under promoted. There's like maybe 50 to 75 people on the most packed show. Biggest problem is everyone's worried about sanitation. We're about to shut down. Coronavirus is in the news. For some reason, I feel like you've been there. The bathroom is like the main bathroom is right behind the stage. Right. There's a curtain and then there's a door to that bathroom. And there is a raw sewage smell that is oozing out. There's people in the front row going like this. Oh, God. And there's raw sewage in the showroom. Oh, my God. So the first maybe 15 minutes of my set is just about this club. My career's over. Can't believe I'm here. And it's going well. It's going really well. But the owner is very upset and does not let me know the whole time. Like if he would have said like, hey, this is my dream or whatever, I would have stopped. So then, he calls or emails my agent and is very upset that I'm making fun of his raw sewage room. It's raw sewage. It's a shithole. Like they don't vacuum the carpet. Well, they spent all the money developing the name of the club, the branding, the comedy club. Which I was talking to another comic about this, but it used to be a different club, and then they moved buildings or they had to change the name. I don't know. Kansas City was like, you can't use our name. Something happened, but it's not the worst club by any means. There's like jokers. No, I actually played that room and the sanitation thing was under control. And to be honest, I don't remember the details of the green room, but I don't remember it being necessarily bad. But if you're at the end of 31 weeks, every room is bad. Right. So it is me having that attitude. I mean, I'm playing this off. I'm not complaining. I'm not saying I'm going to walk. It's like the way that I cope with this, if it's a shitty night, if there's like a bachelorette party, is like, I'm going to talk about it. That's how I get it out. So I don't want to quit. Right. And I have 10 more weekends to do. So I got to make this work for me. So I'm going to make fun of the things because it's embarrassing for the 6 people that do know who I am and came out to see me, that they are seeing me in a place with raw sewage is oozing out. So, I mean, look, if you own a comedy club, you're going, here's your part of the agreement. Comedians will make fun of whatever's in front of them. And if you're going to be sensitive about that, you're going to have a major problem owning a comedy club. Right. Everything. Yes, exactly. So even that like passive aggressive guy in the roof, they heard a lot. It's great. It's really good stuff. You should come back. Yeah. It's still that attitude of like, well, you invited a bunch of comedians out. Right. So now you're getting ready. You're going to do the special on August 12th. You're going to actually it's an HBO special. So congratulations. That's fantastic. Now it's going to be October 14th to get the correct lighting design person. It's going to look I hope it's going to look a little bit better than the usual special. Okay. And then how do people get tickets for the taping? I'll be blasting that out on social media in a very desperate way the weeks leading up to that. But if you save the date, October 14th, people will be able to come. I mean, I think the tickets are going to be $15 and then free because
You're gonna
day of, like, ooh, we got to fill the room.
Right.
And we're shooting in LA. We're shooting in LA 2 shows. So you have to, fill those rooms, and it's LA. So people cancel all the time.
It's very hard to fill a room in LA. What room are you doing it in?
Academy LA, which is the Kansas City Comedy Club of venues. I'm there because I can afford. It's not the worst. I'm there because I can afford it. Or like HBO has money, but they only have a little bit of money for me. For they blip on the radar that not only a stand-up is, but who I am as a nobody. That's what they can afford. For me.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be at Academy LA, which is in Hollywood, which I mean, the whole special is talking about poverty and like how we grew up so poor, less about the cult. But to get there, we're going to have to kick homeless people out that sleep in front of it.
Yeah.
Something like, I'm going to exploit a poverty narrative as I dust these homeless people out.
Well, that's why you're not going to charge people to get in. Maybe those same people, you just pick them up, put them in seats, start the show.
Get him in there. You get to be on the inside part. Hi, I'm Moses Storm, and I'm going to complain about poverty. You know how things are pretty cushy right now, and I own a used Range Rover with a lot of miles on it. I'm going to complain about poverty.
Well, listen, I think the next special is going to be in the Wiltern Theater. It's going to be somewhere big. You're headed for the stars, kid. I see big things for you.
Thank you. I mean, it does mean a lot coming from you. There's things you have to say because you're wrapping up a podcast. You can be like, I never believed in you, and I don't think you got it. But if you mean any of that, means a lot to me.
No, I really do. I'm excited to have you on because, well, first of all, you I think you're a really good stand-up, and then you told me about your parents being in the cult. But also, I think this will be a podcast that I'll look back at and go, I talked to Moses before he got big.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's great. And when the special comes out, you repost it of here's me just hanging out. I'll do that. Of this is my close personal friend.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna get
that. Thank you for having me. I mean that.
And other dates.
Someone I look up to. So.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I don't know when this comes out, but I'm at Cobb's Comedy Club this weekend.
Okay.
And then headlining the.
No, this won't be out till next week. So I hope you had fun at Cobb's last weekend, and then you're going to be in Austin.
Crushed it.
Austin in August, and then Dallas after that. So
I just added a bunch of dates. Comedy Store, La Jolla Comedy Store, headlining that on August 11th.
Nice.
Is the next thing. Please come. And then yes, Austin, Texas, like you said, at the Vulcan Gas Company. And then end of this month or early on, I'm adding it right now and confirming, but Milwaukee, Minneapolis area. But all that will be at mosesstorm.com. And then everything is grossly promoted on social media to an exhausting amount.
Beautiful. All right, my friend. Good luck with everything.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. I'll see you soon.
Can't wait to run into you again.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. Take care.